Agree.
Well, good evening. Call the special meeting for the Ames City Council for Thursday, February 5th to order. Continuing our budget presentations, and I'll turn it over to Steve and Barb.
I think Barb's going to take it away, right? Transit.
Sure. Let me get it close for you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Pleased to be presenting the SIRIDE budget tonight. Sorry, kind of loud. So I'd like to start by introducing the people that I have with me. So I have Christine Crippen, Assistant Director of Operations. Behind me, I have James Rendell, Assistant Director of Fleet and Facilities, and Rob Jennings, Budget Analyst. So the SIRIDE portion of the budget begins on page 154 and was approved by the Transit Board at their December meeting. This budget year, we continue to focus on supporting and growing our strong ridership base and supporting the goal of connecting people to their community with safe and efficient transportation that exceeds customers' expectations. This budget also continues our efforts to reduce emissions and support a more sustainable community. Supporting our workforce remains a top priority. Attracting, hiring, and retaining employees is essential to meeting customer expectations and delivering the level of service our community expects from SIRIDE. Ridership remains strong, and we expect to provide more than 5 million rides this year. We're currently carrying about 30,000 passengers a day. Our highest ridership day was 34,670 rides. Strong ridership has always been a focus of our work because it directly affects the level of funding that SIRIDE receives each year. More than $2.4 million is tied to our high ridership performance and our ability to outperform much larger communities.
How much was that again?
2.4 million.
Okay, thanks.
And while ridership continues to grow, SIRIDE is operating in an environment with ongoing cost pressures related to workforce needs and then rising vehicle and equipment costs. In this environment, we are pleased to present a budget that limits the impact to our local funding partners while continuing to focus on delivering high quality service in an efficient and responsible manner. For the city, we're requesting a 3.5% increase, so approximately $78,000. The transit tax levy this year decreased slightly to about 59 cents per thousand of taxable value. During our capital improvement plan presentation, we did outline planned purchases over the next 5 years and the importance of securing both federal and state funding. It is an FTA requirement that we keep our equipment in a state of good repair. This also helps, though, reduce the financial commitment to the local funding partners. So I'd like to highlight just a couple of the capital projects. So SIRIDE received grant funding to replace 7 40-foot diesel buses with 5 battery electric buses and 2 60-foot articulated buses. Those additions, our battery electric bus fleet will grow to 7, and our articulated bus fleet will grow to 10. Those buses have been delivered, and we expect them to be in service probably within the next month. We also received grant funding to replace 8 40-foot diesel buses, helping reduce emissions, lower operating costs, and support long-term fleet reliability. The 4 buses are expected in 25-26, and the remaining 4 are expected in 26-27. We also received a discretionary grant to complete a fire safety improvement at our facility. So this includes sprinkler upgrades, increased water capacity, fire-rated doors to manage any risk associated with newer vehicle technologies. This project is underway and expected to be completed soon. And then our B100 pilot project continues. We have 5 buses operating on 100% biodiesel year-round. And as part of our facility expansion, we will convert 20 additional B100 vehicles, allowing us to reduce emission while using the fleet that we already have. And it also support Iowa's biofuels economy. Technology will remain a key focus in the coming year, improving tools so that people have easier access to schedules, real-time updates, and service information. As mentioned in the CIP, we're expanding the onboard passenger information monitors, or what we call infotainments. Those display that real-time information and transfer points. It makes the system easier for people to use, particularly those that are new to the system. Fixed route expenditures begins on page 158. Delivering the level of service our customers expect every day takes thoughtful planning, but not just in how we operate our service, but how we maintain and support the fleet behind that service. As we continue modernizing our fleet, we're planning for ongoing operating needs, including increased electricity use as additional battery electric buses enter service. We're also investing in customer-facing tools that make the system easier to use. This includes a redesign of the SciRide website so that riders can easily find information, plan trips, and access rail updates. And at the same time, we continue planning for routine maintenance on our vehicles, things like parts, lubricants, and fluids, so that the buses remain reliable and in service every day. Next is Dial-A-Ride. So Dial-A-Ride is SciRide's paratransit service for individuals who are unable to use our fixed route services. It provides essential access to the community members who might otherwise not be able to leave their homes, and it helps people maintain independence. We partner with HERDA to deliver this service in a cost-effective and efficient way. Ridership continues to grow. We do expect to carry about 16,500 passengers this year on Dial-A-Ride. So we continue to encourage the use of fixed route service whenever possible, so that this specialized service remains available for those who depend on it. Connecting people to their community is one of SciRide's goals, to opportunities, to education, and to the things that matter in everyday life. For many people, SciRide truly is a lifeline. Access to frequent, reliable, and affordable transportation helps people get to work, get to school, and stay connected to the community. We'll continue working with community partners to keep transportation available and dependable. Attracting, hiring, and retaining employees continues to be a top priority because our ability to deliver great service really does start with our people. Focusing on that rider experience and delivering excellence continues to guide our work. None of this would be possible without the incredible team at SciRide. So I do want to take a moment and thank our over 200 employees for the work that they do every day. So I kind of have a little highlight here of some of the people behind the scenes. These are our drivers, mechanics, supervisors, and the teams who keep SciRide moving. Their willingness to go above and beyond and their shared commitment to excellent service truly sets SciRide apart. Because of their work, SciRide continues to rank top 5 in the nation in ridership per capita. We've been as high as second, and today we're 4th in the nation, right behind New York and San Francisco. And if you think about that, that's really remarkable for a community just over 66,000 people. I think this recognition really reflects the partnership between the city, Iowa State University, and ISU students, and the impact of what that shared investment supports every single day. It is what makes SciRide one of the best transit systems in the country. And thank you for your continued support, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Questions?
Barb, I'm trying to figure out the math on the Dial-A-Ride service. We've got an increased ridership, and the cost per passenger is going up. Now, it seems like it should be the inverse. If you've got more riders, the cost per passenger should go down. So I'm wondering which components go into that to raise the price per passenger.
So that's a fair question, actually. So let's see if I can explain it here for you. So Dial-A-Ride is in the small buses, those cutaway buses. A cutaway bus, if you're being super efficient, can carry about 3 passengers per revenue hour. Where a fixed route bus like us, we carry between 30 and 50 passengers a revenue hour. So what's happening is because these people need specialized service, maybe they have difficulty navigating the steps, things like that, then they have to add more buses because they can't carry all those people on that same small bus. We do contract that with HERDA. A portion of that is federally funded with federal dollars, so that helps offset the cost of that.
Thank you.
Jim, you got a question?
Just assume I have questions. Okay. So first of all, big thank you. This has been a very difficult winter for drivers. And I've been out in terrible weather, and I've seen your drivers getting it done night after night, and they're just amazing. And so we appreciate the work. And I wanted to also commend just the chemistry. It's not just about moving people. You do it with excellence, and there's a chemistry. Like, you've done something to create a vibe within SciRide. From the dispatchers, everyone I meet, is just top-notch customer service. I think Steve should be very pleased with how SciRide drivers and the whole team represents our excellence through people. Just a couple of particular questions. Batteries. So, and correct me if this has been a couple years ago when we first rolled out the electric buses. My recollection is the batteries for these buses is they're $200,000. Am I right about that?
Currently, and I can double check with James, but yeah, that's about the right estimate, about
So,
$200,000.
These are expensive batteries. And at that time, there was a lot of unknowns about the life of the batteries and how we're going to pay for them. How has that worked out with the batteries?
Okay, I'll start. So the batteries, yeah, I mean, the technology keeps evolving, right? So the life of the batteries, we haven't had to replace any batteries yet. It's about 6 to 8 years, and James can correct me, for a battery. We have set aside money in a battery electric bus reserve fund to help fund those batteries, and that's called out in capital. So it's in our capital reserve fund.
And I was really hoping you would do that. So you have, in essence, what we call a sinking fund, that in essence you're saving for those future expenditures.
Correct.
Okay. And so you're looking at 6 to 8 years for the life of those batteries.
And maybe James can answer this better. It denigrates over time. So
Right.
it doesn't mean that in 6 years, the battery needs to be replaced
Right.
immediately, right? So it may not be able to be in service as long as it was when it was brand new, because it might be at 85% of the capacity. SciRide has enough routes that we run that are shorter routes that I think we could overcome some of those things. Like, I'm not sure we would need to replace a battery within 6 to 8 years, but again, that's speculative. So I don't want to say that for sure because we haven't experienced that. Do you want to add anything, James?
Yeah. So to kind of help us overcome some of the potential budget impacts as well, when we bought their initial buses, we bought them with a 6-year warranty on them to guarantee us 80% battery capacity at 6 years of age. So we know at least when we get to that point, we'll have 80% of the initial charge or the energy storage capacity on the buses when we at least hit that point. So that gives some confidence to be able to say we'll be able to get the 8 years. Hopefully, as Barb said, we can adjust some of the routes we need to and timings. So.
Yep. And I apologize. I feel like I'm sort of looking over your shoulder on this, but are you thinking about this where you're sort of staggering the acquisition of these batteries? Because that's a pretty expensive purchase. My fear is that a bunch of batteries come due all at once, right? So you're thinking through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is really kind of a transit board decision, but I think they have been thoughtful about that. We do apply for battery electric bus grants when they're available. So sometimes it's just based on availability, but we have 2 right now. We just got 5. So they are staggered enough, I
Okay.
think. In the capital plan, I have 4 over the next 5 years. So it's not a lot of them at one time.
Okay, great. Thanks. Last question. So of any presentation to council, this is the one that always makes me the most nervous because we're not the masters of our destiny with you guys as much as we are with everybody else. And when Doge happened last year, I got really nervous about Federal Highway. And I continue to ask you questions about this, Barb. If it's very unusual that we would have this ranking and get this kind of funding because we're such a small city. So normally, the larger cities would write the rules in a way that this doesn't happen. So this is an anomaly, I believe. And I've always been concerned either because of federal drawdowns in federal highway funds or just the rewriting of the formula so that Ames, Iowa isn't getting a boatload of money that proportionally they shouldn't.
Mhm.
So if all things were equal. So could you just speak to that in general, how you guys think about the role of federal funding? And do you think about, like, if there was a change in the formula, how you would pivot?
So, I mean, I kind of talked a little bit about this during the capital improvement plan. So obviously, I mean, you mentioned it, all transit systems are dependent on some kind of federal funding, right? Most transit systems rely on that. Most of SIRIDE's funding is from that long-standing formula funding. So that's where our dial-a-ride funding comes from. That's where our funding that pays our wages and benefits comes from. So it's tied to ridership, service, and efficiencies. And it has remained stable across many funding cycles. Now, discretionary grants, you know, that isn't always the same, right? So, but we don't ever, while we plan for discretionary grants, we don't necessarily commit that money. It's planned in that money. But back to what you were saying about that 2.4 million, I think is kind of what you're alluding to a little bit. So we
It
get
is.
what's called small transit intensive cities, which is called stick funding. So if you've heard me say that, and that is based purely on how efficient you are, how effective and efficient you are. And SIRIDE is very efficient. And it has historically had bipartisan support because it rewards high-performing transit systems. So it's not just this is how much money you get because this is how many the population of your town or your city. Does that make sense?
It does.
And I also think, well, two things. I was in Washington 2 weeks ago. I do think that they do hear what we have to say, and it has been consistent with what I've been saying here right now, is there's no major indicators that things are going to change. There could be shifts between the percentage that goes to formula and the percentage that goes to discretionary, but I don't think it's going to be significant. Now, again, it's really early on, so I wouldn't necessarily want to speculate on the number, but that's what we know right now.
Yeah. Well, this is very helpful. And I just, again, appreciate the leadership you brought, and you have a great team. Thanks for your presentation.
Any other questions?
Barb, just one. Oh,
Okay, go ahead, Bronwyn. I'll get you next.
Sure. I was just going to mention, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Cool. I love what we're doing to try to bring in more additional non-student riders. SIRIDE is such a good resource for folks in the community. Anyway, I was just hoping, give a little plug about Token Transit, if you would, and tell me, do you have a number of like how that's grown?
Okay, so Token Transit is, just so everybody knows, I'm gonna let Chris answer this because she just got this, but Token Transit is our new way to purchase a pass. So you can do it a pass or just a single ride online on your smartphone. We just implemented in January, the board passed a 3-month, 6, and a 12-month pass, which has been very well received. So it just gives you another option without having to pay at the fare box. So if you would want to ride, you could pay on your phone. But I'm going to turn this over to Chris to give you the data.
So when we looked at the overall usage from the community, it's gone up quite a bit. When we look at the purchase of Token Transit, so if you compare this last fall to the spring when we rolled it out, sales has increased almost, I think, 26%. So obviously people are embracing that. It is nice. If you buy the paper monthly pass, that truly runs on the calendar date. So it's only good from, say, February 1st to the end of February. But if you buy the monthly pass on Token Transit, it goes from when you activate it to the next month. So maybe if you don't get money until like the second week of the month, you can buy your pass then, and it's good till the second week the following month.
Anita, you have a question?
just on the theme of anomalies, but a good one, is that your insurance costs have gone down. And I feel like that's not a theme that we've seen anywhere else. So I wondered if you wanted to just talk a little bit about that.
Well, Bill Walton's probably the one to talk most about that. So, and I think he's in the room, but I'll see if I get this right, and he can always correct me if I get it wrong. But I think every 5 years, they actually go out and evaluate the facility, and Cyride might have been part of that evaluation, which is what lowered the insurance cost.
Good job. Thanks.
Any other questions?
I have one more since Chris was explaining the token transit to us. Is that going to be impacted then by any efforts for the city to collect credit card fees?
That's a good question. I've heard you guys talk about that. So I don't know the answer to that. They take a percentage, a small, very small percentage of what the pass, of whatever the cost of the pass is. So I can follow up on that. I would hate to give an answer because I don't know the answer.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Have a
Appreciate the
nice night,
report.
guys.
We'll move on to City Council and City Manager's Office. Brian?
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. We're pleased to present to you the City Council's budget for 26-27. As you'll recall, a little over a month ago, less than a month ago, a few weeks ago, we got together in a goal-setting retreat where the council identified that they wanted to recommit to the existing values that had previously been stated. And we identified a number of changes to the council goals and tasks associated with each of those for the next 2-year period. We'll be bringing back those goals, values and tasks for your final approval at next week's council meeting. But that forms the framework for the activities that staff is going to be working towards in the next year and a half. The council, as always, participated in a variety of exciting recognition events this year. We held the ribbon cutting for the replacement Ada Hayden Path. The fundraising campaign for the animal shelter has been underway. The agility course ribbon cutting. The 35th anniversary of the conversion of this building into City Hall. The City Council approved a new partnership agreement to add Podujevo, Kosovo as one of our partner cities, which is an exciting new endeavor. And then we held ribbon cutting for the Brookside Fire Truck Playground. We have some photos from some of those fun events. Kicking off the photos, we have the council swearing in, where we had a couple of council members reelected and the mayor as well. So we have some photos up there of that swearing in. Some special events, a variety of the ribbon cuttings. That's the Ada Hayden Path ribbon cutting on the left and the agility course ribbon cutting up above, and the animal shelter, I believe we'd call it the midway fundraising update in the bottom right. And we have some playground ribbon cutting. There's Tim drinking some water.
What I do.
At the healthiest state walk downtown. And then, as always, the City Council participates in Welcome Fest, which is a good opportunity to get to know some of the students who come through on their journey as Iowa State students and residents of this community. We also have the City Council participating in Council Connect opportunities, where there are designated times where City Council members or the mayor will be available to talk to community members at certain events. The city manager's office, just moving right into that, is working on a variety of major projects and activities this year. These have included a couple of major infrastructure projects that are unique. One being the Resource Recovery and Recycling Campus, and along with that, the Curbside Residential Recycling Program. We've been working on the Fire Station #2 relocation, And we're going to be working on the design process for that in conjunction with staff from the fire department and purchasing. The animal shelter relocation project has involved staff from our office to help guide that and ensure that we stay on budget and on target. The link has been an ongoing project that we have continued to participate in discussions about from a development standpoint and determining what the financial involvement of the city might be in that project. The Ames Energy Center, which will include our new thermal generation for the Electric Services Department, has been something that we have also spent a considerable portion of our time on. And then downtown Ames, the guiding vision for the future, as the implementation team has been working on the guiding vision implementation. They bounced ideas off of us, and we've talked through how to turn that vision into reality, at least in the initial stages. Audie, you want to talk about these?
So some additional things we've been working on is the countywide action plan to address homelessness. Actually, in about a month, we're going to work with United Way in Story County to do a community report out of the progress that we've made in that. So put that on your radar. And then we continue to just be creative with the way we're engaging with the public and doing our best to try to reach the underrepresented community members. So our office helps staff several boards and commissions. So of course, Asset, the one that funds human services, we staff that one. The Commission on the Arts, Public Art Commission, the Human Relations Commission, the AIPC Partnership, the Campus and Community Commission, Development Review Committee, and the Downtown Ames Board. The engagement portion is also covered under the city manager's office. So Cassandra is part of our team. She's been active in participating in the regional building community breakfast event. She is our ADA coordinator for the city. And so she's helping with not only making sure our facilities are accessible, but also with the new Department of Justice ruling on digital accessibility. She's been leading a lot of training to staff and on that piece as well, just making sure we are, everyone can see what we're putting out there. And then this year she'll have an emphasis focusing on reinvigorating neighborhood connections and finding ways to get folks connected with the city as well. She participates in internal training for staff members on how to do community engagement, and then the gender identity discrimination complaints would be part of her role as well.
Any questions about the council or city manager's budget before we move on?
We have to just pause and acknowledge the hard work that your team has done on the resource recovery. This is a huge project for any city, and the fact that we didn't have to have a third party come in and help us, we did this internally, is amazing. So kudos to the team.
Thank you.
Well, I would just echo that. And it's not just that one. I mean, just the amount of development agreements, just the amount of work that you guys put in, it's not lost on us. I mean, I have a little more of an insight into it being in the office more frequently, but it's a lot. And thank you to all three of you for all of you, for what you do. But I know it goes unnoticed, but we do notice it. So thank you for your due.
Thank you.
Except for the city clerk. No, I'm just kidding. I knew I'd get a chuckle out of her on that one. So anyway.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My budget begins on page 247 and 246. You'll notice that we have a new teammate this year. Taylor Swanson joined us 6 months ago. So, and then Carly's here tonight, and Jeremy Neefus rounds out our team. I have a short video to play for you for a recap of the City Clerk's 2025. City Clerk's Office Year in Review. This year was marked by steady growth, increased public engagement, and the continued delivery of essential municipal services via the City Clerk's Office. As the administrative backbone of city operations, the office remained committed to accuracy, transparency, records retention, and responsiveness while supporting both residents and city leadership. Throughout the year, the City Clerk's Office processed a high volume of permits and licenses, ensuring compliance with municipal codes while providing timely and courteous services to applicants. From peddler permits to special events and other operational permits, Staff work diligently to meet demand, streamline processes, and assist applicants in navigating requirements efficiently. The office also continued to provide notary services to the public, offering a dependable and accessible resource for residents and businesses. This service remained an important point of daily interaction with the community, reinforcing the city clerk's role as a trusted public-facing department. In addition to direct public services, the city clerk's office played a critical role in supporting city government. Staff coordinated the scheduling, preparation, and assembly of all city council meetings, including regular, special, and workshop meetings. This included agenda management, public notice compliance, records maintenance, and ensuring meetings were conducted in accordance with applicable laws and procedures. Overall, the city clerk's office demonstrated adaptability, professionalism, and a strong commitment to public service. By balancing a heavy workload with evolving operational demands, the office continued to uphold transparency, support effective governance, and meet the needs of the community it serves. Any questions?
3 hours and 11 minutes was the average time.
Let's work on that this year.
We're working on getting that reduced. So we'll see what happens next year.
Thank you.
Yeah, just thanks, Renee, for all that you do. And I think it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And Carly.
Yes. Good evening. The communications and outreach budget is on page 250 in your books. Attached up there is a photo of our communications and outreach team. There's Katie Fromm, Courtney Hinders, and Bill Gebhardt. They're all communications specialists, and they all have a particular area of focus. Katie being website and digital, Courtney being graphics and branding, and Bill being video, but we are all cross-trained. So we have a lot more depth than we've ever had in the past. We remain focused. Our purpose statement is maintains its branding a positive city identity. The city of Ames is recognized as the premier provider of municipal services in a vibrant, innovative, progressive university community. We have continued that into our new team. I think it's really working out great. We seem to be gelling, and we're able to be a lot more strategic and meet the needs of the departments and divisions in a more comprehensive fashion. So with that, we have a little sizzle reel for you as well.
We are looking to relocate the station, working with Iowa State University. There's a piece of land on State Avenue, about 29 acres there, that the university has agreed to lease to the city of Ames for the construction of a fire station.
The Ada Hayden Heritage Park Path Replacement Project started August 11th.
Hello and welcome to Ames in Focus, the podcast that brings you closer to the people, projects, and popcorn machines that make our city tick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cassandra Ames, and welcome to Up Close, where we listen to stories of Ames residents and discover more about our friends, neighbors, and community members.
Our first crisis K-9 badge. Add this to Penny's vest, and I designate 809 as her radio call number.
I think it made it more efficient. It was more efficient for the citizen, for the employee. And I think it just continues to prove it was the right decision.
So I can talk about all the great things we do, but sometimes I think it's fun just to sort of see them come to life in a video. And I also wanted to say, I forgot to acknowledge Kasich and Linnea. Those are our part-time video staff. They're here every meeting. They work hard and they are an important part of our team as well. So what you see above here is some focus areas of our communications and outreach team. These are some of the things that we consistently focus on in our day-to-day routines. We're doing the branding and graphics. We're working on the websites, producing videos, media relations. It's our team that does the resident satisfaction survey. We schedule recognition events, and we're responsible for social media. And you can see all the different platforms of social media that we're involved in. And I just want to be clear that when you see Facebook, it's not just one Facebook page, it's about a dozen Facebook pages, and several of those platforms have multiple pages. So that is a great opportunity to do the outreach and engagement that we try to do, but it also means a constant monitoring, watching those pages, responding, understanding what people are saying, where there's confusion. We have a policy where comments are retained on our Facebook page, on all our social media pages. But we do respond to misinformation. We do clarify, and we do respond to questions. And we get them both public facing and direct message. So you don't see that interaction going on behind the scenes. So those are our focus areas. And then here are some of our tools. We talked, very exciting to launch the new website last April. We feel like it achieved our goals of being intuitive, mobile friendly, and the big one, ADA compliant. Really important that we hit that one. As part of the website project, we added GovDelivery, an e-notification system that allows people to sign up for topics of particular interest to them. And then it also allows us to customize e-newsletters. And we have several departments and divisions that are taking advantage of that. We have a quarterly sustainability newsletter. The Ames Animal Shelter has used a lot of e-notification for their capital campaign. Monthly Highlights goes out as an e-notification. Our 3C goes to trash haulers and specialty markets there. We have Inspect and Connect, which is a new e-notification system that Inspections is doing. And we're constantly talking to staff to ask them to consider being involved in some type of regularly produced newsletter. We're doing podcasting. The mayor is helping us out. We're doing even more podcasting and growing our archive of podcasts. We're reaching out in the community to establish partnerships and do the collaboration. You know, through 60 Forward, we're now third Thursdays always at 60 Forward, either with a Council Connect or a City Connect event. Looking at partnership opportunities with ISU, of course, Ramadran Page is a fantastic example of that. Looking at the hospitals, the school districts, wherever people are interested in partnering with us, we want to leverage their spheres of influence and get the words out. We're back to traditional methods. Posters was an idea that has been thrown around, and I know from when I just do some outreach with people and ask them where they're getting their information, I'm finding kind of unusual places. Posters is one that shows up. And so we have that. And then we're doing more tabling, which I'm sure you've noticed because more and more opportunities are showing up on your calendars as well as mine. And in fact, tonight we were unable to do a tabling event at the Iowa Faith and Climate Network meeting, but we sent our friends at Resource Recovery over there to talk about curbside recycling and R3C. And we're continuing to look for those. We have Sustainapalooza coming up March 3rd and some more events. And these, if they're not on your calendars, will be on there soon. These are some upcoming events. It's looking again like 2026 will be just as busy, if not busier than 2025, which I cannot say enough how great that is. That means we are doing things. So lots to look forward to. And with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Questions?
Susan, do you feel like the GovDelivery has been successful? Are we getting a lot more people signing up to receive notifications?
Yeah, we get statistics on the back end of GovDelivery. Not only are we continuing to see that grow, we're seeing the high open rates. I mean, an open rate for an email is traditionally low, but ours are in the 30 and 40%, sometimes higher. So we're providing a product that people are opening, and that's really nice to see. If you get the Ames Parks and Recreation newsletter, that's another example. They're actually on a different platform. They kind of started the trend, and we decided, yeah, we want to do that too. So.
I noticed that you have original program YouTube views. Does that mean people just click on it, or they actually are watching it? I mean, I'm amazed at 500,000 for adjusted for this year, up from 425. When was it? And then you're projecting 550. It's just amazing.
It is. I don't have I don't know if Bill has a reason why those might have grown as much.
Well, I think, yeah, so it is every time someone's clicking on it, it's hard, you don't know if they watch the whole video or whatnot, but they are clicking on it, which YouTube is a platform for that. I think one of the big reasons for growth is we moved to short form video, which is the vertical videos that people watch on their phone and doom scroll on. And since we've taken a lot of our promotion type things to that doom scroll way, we're getting that doom scroll traffic.
Yeah.
Well, good job. A lot of exposure. Any other questions?
I'm just amazed at the presence that you have on Facebook, like all the time. Just new content, helping the community understand different things that we're doing. So really appreciate just sort of the intentionality that you and your team are bringing. Thanks for that.
I really appreciate you saying that. I think having a team has made that possible. It was something very difficult when we were smaller to kind of keep that balanced, but we feel that we were able to be more strategic about putting new product on our socials just and planning ahead. So thank you.
And a lot of them are funny.
Yeah, well, we try to be funny.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just sort of stale, here's the information, but it's presented in a very engaging and thoughtful way. So keep the humor up. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just appreciate too the helping us with Council Connect. That's an important way of reaching out to the community, because we're going to need to be out, doing that a lot more in terms of to get feedback from the people. So
Great.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
So about a year and a half ago, the council also agreed to add in our first full-time sustainability coordinator. So Nolan Sagan is also part of our CMO team here. And since his arrival, we've been able to really do our due diligence in trying to seek some grant and opportunities out there. So he's applied for several grant opportunities, both federally, locally, and at the state level as well. In addition to that, we've been able to roll out the City Climate Action Grants program, so trying to inspire the private parts of our community to also invest in sustainability. So we've awarded $63,000 to the community organizations for various projects, from solar installations such as Actors Project to building community gardens and so forth. So that is ongoing. We also have the youth mini grants that are also going through there. Oh, sorry. And then also the state was partnered with us to do a feasibility study around energy upgrade on bill financing programs. So we were able to accomplish that and found that it is feasible to do here. So we're kind of waiting to see if we get any federal grants to move that forward, but that was a program that we established. And then this year, for the first time, we are a Green Iowa AmeriCorps host site. So we've got 2 AmeriCorps members with us. And then who authorized us to apply for that program again. So we hope to have 2 more with us next year. So these folks are out there in people's homes doing weatherization projects at no cost to the community. So it's a great opportunity if anybody is listening and hasn't had this done but wants to. And then our sustainability coordinator works really hard with the other city departments to move various initiatives along as well. So Nolan continues to help the departments think through expanding EV charging stations, really building our infrastructure here in town, encouraging the EV fleet, and then B100 as well. You've heard from Side Ride in their project earlier, but also doing what we can on the R3C trucks that will be coming in. He is also helping with the curbside recycling project that is we're in the midst of. And then his team is also helping to do a lot of education and outreach. So you see them a lot at the same events that you're at as well. And so doing as much as we can. They've also been able to hold a couple different events at the library that's open to the public around various things. I think they recently had a seed swap at the library this past weekend, and then have partnered with other community groups to put on sustainability events. And then lastly, one of the things that you guys have expressed interest in is working with a developer to develop a high-performing home pilot program. So we've been trying to get an interested developer into that and continuing to work with them to get that going. So I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Paul. Questions? Apparently not. All right. Mark?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Mark Lambert, City Attorney here. This is my 9th budget presentation and also my last one. Since, as you know, I'm retiring in the fall. But my budget pages are 262 and 263. You know, our job is to provide legal services to the city council, city manager's office, and all the departments. There we go. And we do that with our staff. And, you know, most of our budget is our staff salaries. And so I reused last year's photo because I wanted to keep Jill in here because Jill retired in November after 19 years with the city attorney's office. And I have to say, when I became city attorney, I would have been lost without Jill. She you know, her wealth of experience in basically running the office all those years was just so helpful to me. Andrea Witt, who is, you know, you'll see me and then Jane and then Andrea. Andrea has now been promoted to Jill's position as the office manager. And we are currently getting ready to fill the legal secretary position that Andrea previously had. Andrea has like 31 years of experience in law offices. And so we've got 3 candidates, and we interviewed 2 of them today, and we're interviewing another one on Monday. So very soon we will have another legal secretary, and we've got 3 great candidates, and so it's going to be hard to make a choice. But just again, the 2 assistant city attorneys are Vicki Fielmeyer and Jane Chang. You know, we added up our years of experience as attorneys, and I want to make sure I get this right, 76 years in total. I just hit my 30th anniversary as an attorney on January 26th. So it's kind of exciting. And then Sandy Charter over on the right, and is one of the legal secretaries. Sandy's been with us for several years now, and she previously worked in the clerk of court's office just down the hall. So anyway, that's our staff. You pretty much know what we do. We advise the council, staff boards and commissions, represent the city in all kinds of matters, draft and review ordinances and amendments to the municipal code, litigate in district court and appellate courts, and assist and coordinate with outside counsel. So one thing we don't generally do in the city attorney's office is defend lawsuits, because we have ICAP and they provide attorneys to do that if there's some sort of a tort claim against us or other sort of lawsuit. So, but we engage in a lot of coordination and working with those outside counsel on those litigations. And here's a pie chart of our funding sources. Most of it comes from the general fund. I think I need to spend much time on that. And then here's our budget. And again, most of it by far is salaries, because that's, you know, it's the people that do the work. And the workload is increasing. You'll see those numbers on here. Honestly, I think last year's numbers were artificially low. I was a little stunned at last year's numbers, and then I had a little pep talk with my staff and said, we need to document everything. We need to make sure that we get everything into the system. And so we've done a much better job at that. But you know, 748, I think it is. Let me get my glasses back on. 748 currently, and that works out to 250 new matters a year for each attorney. And by the way, I looked up how many days of the week, Monday through Friday for the entire year. It's 260. So that's almost one a day. Some things are very, very short and take us 10 minutes. Other things we work on for hours or days. Development agreements, when we draft those are, take a lot of time. The manager's office and planning, work out the terms of it, and they give those to us, and we turn it into the legal document. We do all sorts of things, and we're busy all the time, and we are, we have no shortage of work, and it's been a little tough being short on support staff since November when Joe retired. But like I said, we'll have that taken care of soon. So that's about all I have to say, unless you have any questions or.
Thanks, Mark. Questions?
So Mark, as you think about the future, as you ramp up additional matters, is our office using AI in any kind of meaningful way to help with some of the drafting? And then I was also curious too, we had talked at different points through the years about maybe working with law clerks as a way of bringing in some people, young people, getting them some experience in an office, but also benefiting the office from less expensive work.
Yeah, we checked into, I checked into trying to get, see if there were Drake Law students that might want to work part-time in the office. And ultimately that didn't go anywhere. And I will say Jill had said to me that was tried before and it didn't work out very well because their schedules are, difficult they are only available certain times and certain days. And so that makes it tough. But that's certainly something that can be looked into. We had an intern who was an Iowa State student who worked with us for one semester, and we gave her lots of little sort of small tasks that the support staff would normally do. We transferred to her and kind of relieved the load on the support staff some. And again, we tried that. It was difficult. It was during COVID. It didn't work out the greatest, but so we haven't done that again. But there are certainly ideas like that. I will be honest. I think at some point there's going to need to be a fourth attorney, and I will say I think we're at that point. But that's got to be decided later on, and you're going to have a new city attorney in here, and I would suggest you wait and have them work for a while, and maybe they're a lot faster than I am, and that won't be an issue. But I think that's for your new city attorney to look at and think about and propose.
All right, very good.
Okay,
thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Bethany?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm excited to be here to talk about human resources. This is a very exciting moment for us when we get to share all the things that we've done and all the things that we're looking forward to doing in the next year. So this is our human resources team. So our team continues to serve the city organization by working to provide exceptional service along with an enjoyable and stimulating work environment.
Wait. Did AI creep into your picture?
We had this really, really fun day for Halloween where we wore our Canadian tuxedos to work. And we had one staff member who was out on an extended leave. And so we decided to add her in using a cartoon. So we still wanted to include her in our fun.
Okay, you get a pass.
So our staff focuses on recruitment, training, employee development, employee relations, benefits administration, health promotions, and risk management. So our team is full and we are excited to come to work every day and work on these things for our organization. So I thought it would be exciting to report that in the last fiscal year, Human Resources worked with city departments to launch 188 recruitments. We received 4,730 applications, which is just astounding. We hired 325 people from outside of the organization, and we were able to promote 25 people from within the organization. We're really proud of these numbers. There was a period of time where we weren't seeing as many applications, and so we've really worked hard to increase the number of places where we're advertising so we can bring in as many applications as possible, and we are seeing results here, making really, really good hiring decisions.
Can you, excuse me, just one second. Does that include part-time and full-time?
It does, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So Human Resources has continued to offer a number of training opportunities for employees. This includes customer service training, along with some skill building training in Excel, Microsoft Office, and a number of specialized topics. Additionally, we're in our second year of Leadership Fundamentals, which is a 6-day course for leaders spread over 6 months. Each day is focused on a specific set of activities designed to build supervisory skills. And so far, we've had over 100 leaders in our organizations complete this training. We've also recently purchased a human resources information and management system. Implementation is underway. We're anticipating that the system will be fully implemented this summer and will be increasing our data management, increasing efficiency throughout the organization in a number of areas, including just employee data, onboarding processes, that's moving people from candidates in our recruitment system to employees in this new system, and then working with time and attendance and scheduling software and performance management systems. So all of these things will work together to help employees, supervisors really have a better, more streamlined experience. We're really, really excited about moving forward with this and looking forward to the future. We'll move on to risk management.
So before you do, I had a question. So page 265, just an idea. So I like these barometers. They're amazing on recruitments and applications and things. But I'm wondering, is there some kind of benchmark that we could use to reflect the retention that we have? I think this is a really great strength of our program. And one of my favorite events of the year is the employee appreciation lunch, and they have the people get the awards for how long they've stayed here. This is amazing. And I just think people should appreciate that. And so I don't know if there is a way to create a line to reflect that, but I think keeping people here, it benefits our community long-term in ways that if we had a revolving door, wouldn't. So I think that's another barometer of the success of what you folks are doing. So just an idea, be great to see something there to show that.
Okay, great. We can do that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Bill Walton. I'll be covering the risk management portion, which is pages 286 and 287 of your budget book. We are really fortunate in the city of Ames to have a workforce that really places safety first. They're enthusiastic about safety training. They're enthusiastic about ensuring that they are working safely and that the people they're working with are working safely. Excuse me. And one of the things that does is it really keeps our work comp claims down. The majority of the claims, the vast majority of the claims that we have are medical only claims. They're one visit to Ahmed and the person's back to work. We have a very limited amount of lost time claims, which is I'm extremely grateful for. One of the ways we do that is we we utilize a vendor for our safety training. We'll do over 130 training sessions every year. Each of those training sessions is specific to the area being trained, to the division. So if we're at resource recovery, then the presentation is based on safety at resource recovery. We'll also bring in a lot of what we'll call subject matter experts. And some of the people that we've brought in the past and that we'll continue to bring in, we brought in a Iowa State Patrol trooper who has given winter driving safety training to our employees. We brought in a nurse to do stop the bleed training and first aid training. We brought in an entomologist from Iowa State to help our employees recognize bugs that they may encounter in the field. We've also done that with poison ivy, an expert on poison ivy. And we brought in DOT compliance officers to train on load securement. We even use our own animal folks to train on dangerous animals and things to look for. Thank you. This year, there's been, over the past year, there's been a lot of natural disasters, floods, fires, hurricanes. But amazingly, we're seeing the property market soften still. And what I mean by that is when the market softens, it means there's more money in excess layers. So our carriers can purchase that money or that coverage less expensively. So that helps drive down our rate. So even with the new buildings that the city's finalized or is in the process of finalizing, we do expect the city staff expects the rates the premium to decrease slightly. We have been told by our liability carrier that we will see an increase, although it's compared to past years, it's modest. So I'm looking forward to seeing that number. City staff will work closely with our broker on that to ensure that we're getting the best rate possible. And then finally, our last coverage is excess workers' comp. Working with our broker last year, city staff was able to get a 2-year guaranteed rate. So there will be no change year over year on our excess workers' compensation insurance. Any questions on risk management?
Questions?
Bill, I love everything you said. I am curious. We try to do a lot of benchmarking here just to sort of see how we are doing. And I mentioned this in passing a couple of weeks ago to you individually. Are there such things as benchmarks so we can see how we're doing compared to our peer communities? Because I think this is a great story, but without seeing the context and comparison, we really don't have a chance to appreciate that.
There are, and I have requested those from our third-party administrator. I just didn't get them back in time for this presentation.
No, sure. That's great. So maybe in the future, that would be super helpful.
I'd be happy to.
Yep. Thanks.
Other questions? Steve or Corey or Nancy, the funding source is a risk insurance fund. Can you explain, is that coming from general fund or is that something else?
The risk management fund is an internal service fund. I don't know when we went through the funds, if you remember us talking about that type of a fund. And so all of the departments contribute to this fund. So we always take Bill's cost. We develop his budget in September as part of our early group. And then we allocate the costs out to all the other departments. So you'll see property insurance or risk insurance as a line, like in electric's budget, for example, that's them transferring their funding to Bill's risk management fund, which is where we pay the outside vendors.
Okay. And then under expenditures by activity, if there's a workman compensation claim, police claim, is that included in the expenditures by activity or is that carried someplace else?
No, those expenditures are shown here.
So that's both premiums as well as
Yes.
Any kind of loss we sustained or
Yes.
deductible?
Yeah, everything would be contained in that workers' compensation line.
Very good. Thanks, Bill.
Good evening, Mayor Council. I'm Krista Hammer. I am the one that will present for the health insurance pages that you see on 288 and 289. And I just want to point out, I didn't get to do a sizzle reel, but our avatar there, we're trying to introduce my cohort, which is our HR secretary. She really supports us a lot with the benefit administration. And so that's also Vicki Hillock there, and I'm represented on the other side. And that was my Where's Waldo event in Bethany's part. So sorry I couldn't be there for the Canadian tuxedo. But on this page, I think we've represented this year after year for you folks to take a look at. And typically our goal is to try to keep our health insurance premium increases below 10%. And the top line that you see in black there is actually Wellmark's book of business. And so you can tell year over year, at least since 23, it's been since I've been here as well, since 2017, that we have been underneath Wellmark's book of business for their anticipated increases for premiums and expenses. And so we are really focused on staying at an 8% increase for 26-27. So we've been consistently that for the last, including 26-27, 4 years at least. And then the second pie chart here just shows how our expenditures are for the entire insurance funding. And if you notice, the blue, the yellow, and the red, yes, those all represent actual claims. So just think of that as utilization on all of our members' parts. And so that is actually our biggest expenditure for our funding. And that comes out to 82% for an anticipation for 26-27, which is just a slight increase from the current year that we're in. And then as you can tell from the purple, which is our our excess insurance, the tan, which is other health insurance, the darker blue or purple, if you will, which is my counterpart coming up, Casey on health promotions. And then that 1% is health administration. That's obviously a smaller piece of the pie that we're very proud of to keep under control. I will take any questions that anybody has.
Thanks, Krista. Questions?
Congrats again. It's amazing. And, we're facing legislative challenges. How do we continue giving 8% increases? And you guys are doing a great job, but in an environment where we're very, very modest increases for city government growth. So it's a conundrum, but congratulations again.
Thanks. We have constant discussions about, what can we do to make some changes, and we're not for sure what those changes may look like in the future, but we still keep that in our forefront of our minds as we do our planning.
Other questions?
Love the Bitmojis on the presentation. Those are awesome.
Thank you. Maybe next year I'll give you a sizzle reel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm
Good evening.
Casey Schumann. I am the health promotion coordinator, and my pages are on 290 and 291. So throughout this past year, the health promotion program has been expanding its outreach within the city, which is great. Some of our successes this past year that we do plan on repeating for 26-27 include pop-up events. And I do have a couple photos up there. I have a photo of the table there. It has some TheraBands and some foam rollers. And then that sun safety image, that's actually a flyer for one of our events. And so what these pop-up events are, they are smaller events where we set up a table of fun health-related stuff and information, and we invite employees to come by for a minute or two and learn something about health and wellness. And then we usually also have some healthy snacks that they can take on their way back to work. So we have been able to reach more employees than ever before with these events. And I have even seen employees stop by that I have never seen interact with a health promotion program before. So that's fantastic. We're getting a few new people to come by. And then another way that we're expanding our outreach is through family vaccine clinic options. We have always welcomed employees to bring their family members to the on-site vaccine clinics that we offer every fall. Unfortunately, the time at which we do them just doesn't always work for spouses and children because they are during the week. Or employees are scared of their small children crying during the process, and so they don't bring them. So what we did this past fall was we offered a family vaccine day on a Saturday morning, and we invited employees to bring their family members, and that included kids, spouses, whoever. And we had some kid-friendly options there. We offered some kid-friendly snacks. We had a kids show playing up on the projector. We had some cool stickers for afterward, after you got your shots. Adults could take those too if they wanted. And then we also had our very own Penny, our crisis canine, was there. And so she was able to offer comfort to kids or adults who were nervous about getting their shots. And so that was a really great option that we had. And we had tons of families come, and it was really successful. So we do plan on doing it again next fall. So. In addition to expanding outreach, we plan on expanding our health assessments. We already offer a very robust annual health screening for our employees and spouses that are on health insurance. We do that each summer. It includes a full blood panel, a lipid panel, blood pressure screening, and then measurements of height, weight, and waist circumference. And then in 2023, we added the InBody machine. It's the taller looking machine over there up on the screen. And that measures body composition. So the difference between fat tissue and muscle tissue in people's bodies. And employees can take advantage of that anytime during the year, up to 2 times during the year. But what I am interested in and excited for this year is there's a growing body of evidence that shows hand grip strength can be very correlated with chronic disease risk. It's some new research that's coming out. And so you'll see up there is a picture of a hand grip dynamometer, and it measures grip strength. And so we plan on purchasing one of those and then combining it with our in-body scans, so people would be able to do that up to 2 times a year as well. And we just want to be able to screen people for chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes. Even cognitive decline can sometimes be extrapolated from hand grip strength measurements. So it's a really quick and non-invasive way to measure someone's health. So in conclusion, the budget that I'm requesting this year includes these things that I've mentioned, as well as the continuation of our holistic wellness programming that we have here at the city that I think is a really great representation of our city value of safety and wellness. And at this time, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Casey. Questions?
So over the years, I have noticed these posters in the restroom for toilet talk.
Yes.
Is that a successful endeavor? I mean, it continues apparently.
Yeah, believe it or not, I get a ton of positive feedback on those, and I get a ton of employees that come to me and they're like, I'm so excited, I saw there's a new toilet talk out. And so yeah, we keep doing them. People love them. I mean, what else are you going to do when you're sitting there? You're kind of a captive audience. So so yeah, we keep doing them.
Good answer. All right.
I had a question. So this is just such a success story year after year. I am curious, and tying in with some of the things that Bill talked about, do you do any kind of like preventative strength training for people that are in parts of our, we have people do really hard things, firefighters and people up putting electric lines up, so that are very taxing on the body. Do we provide any kind of like physical training to help do some preventative strength training?
So yeah, I've done some education on injury prevention with groups. So I have gone out to groups with TheraBands and then kind of done a workshop on different exercises that they can use to strengthen different muscle groups and prevent overuse injuries. And then I would leave the TheraBands there so that they can keep using them time after time. I will say it's not a thing where I'm going out, 3 times a week to every group. It's more of if they request me to come out, I go out. And we have also done that with some leadership classes as well, so that leadership members can also kind of remind their employees, like, hey, this is something that we can do to, stay safe and healthy.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bethany. Move on to planning services. Kelly?
Good evening, City Council. I know you're pretty familiar with what we do because we're here many weeks out of the year, but we'll still recap some of the things that are important in terms of our projects and activities. So we have planning services. We cover 3 divisions really within that title. We have current planning, which is development, then in long range and policy planning, and we have shared support services, which is part of fire and public works as well. We support 3 commissions: planning and zoning and board of adjustment, and historic preservation commission. So those are all things that have been standard for quite some time, and nothing's really changed in those activities. Now, every year we kind of talk about this little pie chart is kind of a graphical representation of kind of how the work is divvied up in terms of kind of the obligations, the amount of time that goes into different things. And that varies every year, but I would say that's kind of an average for us. So on the right is really just, again, a way to list those out. So it's a little clearer for people on the different types of things. I think you're all familiar with the different types of things that we see come before you. And I would say our last year is pretty consistent with this kind of a split in job responsibilities and duties that we have. So I wouldn't say that one of the wedges is significantly different this last year or as we project into next year. So site development plans is really kind of probably our number one application type, and you don't really see those. Those are the administrative permits that get most commercial buildings built in the city. Very few site plans come to the city council. In most cities in the metro area, the city council is rubber stamping and approving all site plans for commercial buildings. Those don't ever come to you. So in Ames, we're much more administrative focused to try to speed up the development process. I think as we look ahead to next year, we're probably in a similar level of projected development in terms of site plans. I think you're going to see an uptick in maybe the apartments, but a little less commercial. So we had a few commercial projects, Furniture Mart, we had Olive Garden, a couple of other things that have been done this last year. I don't know that we have those prospects out there for this upcoming year. I think we would have known last winter those projects were coming. At this time of the year, people are really looking forward to construction in the summer. So usually when I'm here, I have a pretty good idea if a major project's likely. Once in a while, something still slips in at the end of spring, but at this point, we usually have a pretty good idea of what summer projects will be. The middle bullet I wanted to talk about a little bit. So the PUD overlay was created about 4+ years ago as one of the implementation measures of Plan 2040. But is the type of site plan project that does come to the council. So you may feel like you've seen a lot of these this year, and you kind of have. So in the last 2 years, you've had 6 infill projects through this PUD overlay process. I think it's a bit of a learning exercise for us. I think for both the council and the public, because some of these projects were not feasible before the PUD overlay was created. So some people are surprised that properties can be developed or this may be allowed subject to the review process. But I wanted to point that out as something that we've been implementing because of a council goal. We created this tool. Single family building permits, I don't directly do those permit reviews, and that's really an inspections process, but I usually report them to you because I think it's a good indicator of how development is progressing through the subdivision review process and the zoning and annexation process. So we've been kind of steady again for 3 years now in terms of overall production. What was interesting is in 2025 is that they were all single family detached home. There was no attached homes built last year. I had to double check that because I didn't believe it when I first saw it. So it's interesting how many of our projects, our subdivisions do try to mix product type. but it's very limited in terms of what it is. So in any one year, we may not get that much diversity of housing because that's just not what, there's not a lot in the subdivisions to start with. I think we are likely optimistic, and if you look at my budget pages, we show a substantial number of new lots likely being platted after a very low number platted last year. Only 46 new lots were platted last year, but I show you a projection of maybe 200 lots being projected for next year, and that's partially because of the development incentive conversation in December, also just the pent-up demand that's probably out there. We created the tax abatement program 2 years ago to help alleviate some of the costs. I would say you can see that 2 years of housing production has been unaffected by that program. But I am optimistic going forward because interest rates have actually dropped. So when we were looking at the affordability of the tax abatement program, interest rates were over 7%. They're no longer at that number. And so I think you can start to see that there's a potential here to thaw a little bit in terms of development potential and financial willingness of people to do that. So I think we're pretty optimistic next year you see some housing production because of a lot of different factors. So things that are coming up, these are things that you should be aware of. You may not know they're coming on any particular timeline, but these are the things that are really in front of us right now. So since December, I have 6 residential development projects that have some version of an incentive or development agreement that needs to come forward to the council. Those will be coming one at a time. Essentially, when an applicant is ready, I'll be here with a project for you to affirm your commitment to it, and then we'll move into an actual development agreement. So you do have a number of new projects that have no entitlements yet. So that would be the Greenbrier. Hayden's Preserve is looking to alter their entitlement. Ontario would be the new land that ISU is looking to sell for housing on that stretch of the street. Auburn Trail wants to redo their entitlement. And then I think, we don't really have a name for this yet, but there is a substantial amount of land in West Ames at the intersection of County Line Road and Lincoln Way. That's been annexed for over 5 years, but we haven't zoned it yet. So we're kind of waiting for the developer. I think they're in a position to come in there, do some more single family homes and a little bit of commercial out there. I do think we'll have more annexations this year. So last year we had the very substantial annexation with the Borgmeyer farm and closing up basically all of the islands up in the north area along Hyde. So we have a very complete north annexation. I think you're going to see some activity out west just based on conversations of both some land in Story County and then also being probably our first reach into Boone County. So our comp plan shows development into Boone County, and we're at that point now with infrastructure deployment that is feasible to be done. So I would think you would see some of these applications come forward this year. And then the infill development projects. So again, I think Plan 2040 tried to accommodate multiple interests with both greenfield development and a focus on infill at the same time, and we've been doing that. And I think you have a few projects that are going to be interesting to see how they work through the system this year as well. So Highland Oakland, our apartment project near campus, the link we've talked about for years. It has a new life, and a new thing that we'll be seeing, I believe, again this spring. Small project on 2nd Street that you recently approved rezone for. And then Mary Greeley was here last summer to talk about a training facility. They put that on hold after coming to City Council in July. If you were kind of wondering what happened after that big meeting in July about that facility, they put it on hold to reevaluate overall space needs. So I believe they will come back with something. Might not be what we saw in July. So I do think there's something still out there, even though they had to take a step back to reevaluate that. So as we move into the long range planning, I know the city manager took credit for downtown visioning support already, but I'm also working with them on that. So you have double the forces for downtown. Something that might not seem substantial, but it is a little bit to us. All of us have to address ADA compliance for the website. That's something that Susan's group is responsible for. We're one of those departments that has a lot of documents, and we have to kind of sort through what's reasonable to keep online, because we started to use the website as a library, which isn't necessarily what it's for. So we have a little bit of work to do here. We'll get compliant on the April schedule, but I think we have to take a longer term view of what kind of information we're putting on our webpage to help assist customers, and then also what's really necessary in terms of goals and plans that need to be communicated to the public. The big project that we talked about last spring but never actually kicked off is the zoning ordinance and subdivision code update. So the number one like new activity in the work plan was to kick off the unified development code is what we're striving to accomplish here. So this kind of summarizes where we've been and what's next. I don't have a date for you, but sometime this spring I need to come back to you and have an actual scope of work approved for staff, including timelines, outreach plans, and expectations about how a steering committee will work. So the last time we met, the preference of the council was to use a steering committee, and then we were supposed to come back and propose how that could work and how to fit everything in with that. And that's what we need to do next for that project. We did interview, Susan and I did get a presentation on a couple different engagement tools here in the last month. I think that has the likelihood of being a fairly useful tool for this type of project. So when we did Plan 2040, we had an online engagement support through a specific vendor that allows to receive public comment, manage the public comment, but also let people comment on the project and plans and meetings and host different things. I think that's going to be a very important element of a zoning code update because a lot of people will want to see very specific things. And I need to have a way to like kind of manage all of that comment and not just be an inbox in my email of random emails suggesting things. So I think we're going to be able to pilot a software tool there. They're not terribly expensive. I think we'll be able to use part of that $100,000 budget that we have to do that. And I think it'll be educational for all of us to see how that works for possibly use with other projects. Some of the other things that are ongoing that have been started would be the Oakland Highland project is part of a larger discussion for West Campus in terms of a new overlay zoning. We did start outreach for the South Campus redirection area. So that's the area around Hunt and Knapp Street. We'll be coming back this spring with proposals on whether you want to proceed with zoning changes in that area, similar to what's probably going forward in the Sheldon and Highland area. I think one thing we do need to look at, which isn't in the work plan, is again, these PUD infill projects. You've now seen a fair number of those. I think we need to just take a chance to recalibrate, see are we in the right place, our expectations clear, both the public, for the council, and for the developers. That'd be something that we can work into as just a kind of an update at some point this year. And as always, there's city council initiated zoning text amendments. I'm sure there'll be more. There always are. We don't know what they are yet, but I'm sure people will be approaching us for that. And then we'll have to do some regular cleanup items as usual too. I think the last bullet is something that is unusual. We're going to have some requests by HBC to look at amending our historic district chapter 31. You have a set meeting to approve their work plan on February 24th. So that'll be one of the discussion items on that, is to put into the HPC work plan kind of the scope in relation to the historic district amendments that they've requested. So that was the quick. So these last two slides are the bigger elements that are in the program of work. We haven't formally updated that since last spring. That's when we initiated or said we were going to initiate the zoning ordinance update, but then we kind of went in some different directions with development agreements and incentive reviews and stuff like that. So sometime this spring, probably April would be the soonest, come back and have the council affirm what your expectations in terms of time commitments are. If it's these things on these slides, are there other things that need to be added and figured out where they fit? I still believe, obviously, the zoning ordinance update is the number one thing to do. It solves a lot of problems and provides a lot of clarity for the future. I think Plan 2040 is, in my opinion, has worked out really well in terms of having set policy. I think it's made decision-making for the council a lot easier because you had discussions. You're not making one-off decisions on like an old plan. I think the zoning ordinance should have that same effect for you once we get that done. Hopefully the 15 text amendments a year requests will be no more, at least for a few years. So I think that's pretty vital for us to get done here. Any questions on planning services?
Questions?
Kelly, did you give us an estimate on when we might hear about that federal planning grant for the parking garage feasibility?
The last contact anyone had was sometime soon. There's no set date for them to release whether we qualified or not. So I can find out tomorrow. It could be in 2 months.
Yeah. Apparently, valuations have happened. decisions have been made, but it's with Secretary Duffy to make the announcement, and we poked to try and find out what's going on, and we've gotten no response. So, good question, which we knew, but
Yeah, it'd be nice to know that before we get to the work plan conversation, because that one's going to be substantial, right? We're going to need consultants, like it's a whole team that has to be done. It will not be just city staff that's working on that type of a project.
it sounded like from what our person that helped us in Maryland said, that it could take 4 to 6 months just to get the contracts. So, I mean, this may not even happen till if we get it the fall before we get a kickoff or starting to do some planning. So anyway, but we hope it comes through. On the single family home permits, do you have a graph in terms of how the last 3 or 4 years compared to what's been done for the last 15, 20 years? Or is that pretty flat? I mean, is that pretty
No,
consistent?
it's not at all. So I don't have it with me, but if you go to the inspections website, they have annual housing starts, I think back to 2000. So if you want a graph or a chart, we can produce that really easily. If you just want to go peruse that yourself, you can see that. So when I first started, which seems like yesterday, but now is almost 13 years ago, I think we were around at a peak of 120 in the early teens. Then it slowly has gone down from there. For a few years, we were pretty stable in that 80, 90 range. And then the last 4 years, we dropped it below 70. So it's kind of gone in these plateaus down to where we are now.
Okay. And then on page 219, there's quite a few numbers. There's a preliminary plats completed, and has a 3, and then there's a 50 in parentheses. I was just curious what the parenthetical numbers refer to.
Yeah, the parenthetical numbers are the target review days. So this is supposed to be a performance metric that's counting the number of application types and then the amount of review days. So if it's a current year or a past, I should say the actual year, then that's how many days we average to actually review that. If you go into the projected year, that's the target. So you can evaluate then whether we're successfully meeting our goal of reviewing applications in the amount of time that was established.
All right.
So Kelly, you mentioned the 2040 plan. I completely agree with you. It's been a while since we've sat down, and Meg, I'm not sure we've ever really sat down and tried to see where we are in our pathway towards 15,000 people by 2040. What are your thoughts on would there be a benefit to council? And specifically, I'm curious whether we might think of other policy decisions. I feel like we've got a lot of pro-growth things in place right now, but do you think there'd be some merit for us to take a few minutes and just see where we are in the 2040 plan?
I think I would say there's 2 parts to that. I would say we had a first chunk of implementation measures that were prioritized, and we've gotten through many of those. That include deployment of sanitary sewer and water infrastructure, like to Stub West, East, and South. So those are major issues. And then you had these zoning issues like PUDs and some other things that you wanted done to help facilitate the type of growth we were looking for in there. There's many more to do. So I think we're at a point where we've knocked out the first chunk of implementation measures. So it'd be appropriate to look at what's next. And I would say normally about 5 years after you adopt a plan, you would come back and kind of see where you're at. So in my mind, we were probably thinking 27, 28 is when we'd probably have a review, because that would be about 5 years then I think it was in 2022 is when it was officially adopted, the spring of 22. So we could do that at any time, but I think from an implementation task perspective, it'd be reasonable to look at that along with probably the next work plan.
So I'm not sure I want to drive this tonight, but it's just something to think about maybe on your side, whether it'd be helpful for us as part of our ongoing understanding of development to go back to that 2040 plan and just see where we are.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. Ms. Vanessa, good evening.
Good. Our last slide was just for administrative services. I think they're the people behind the scenes that you don't see that really kind of pull all of this customer service together for all of our departments. They're pretty key to everything, and they're the front face of all of our offices to many, many people, both on the phone and literally in person. So very thankful for all of our support that we get from them. Any questions about how that process works or how that personnel helps us? I'm happy to answer that.
So do they take care of acknowledging all of the Ames on the Go service
Sort of.
requests?
They when it comes in, their responsibility is to get it to the responsible party. So there's a fair number that are related to public works or inspections, and they don't necessarily directly answer them. They might if it was something they had the answer to that didn't need a specific staff person to answer it. But their real job is to get it to Parks and Rec for maintenance or to whoever else is actually responsible for doing that.
All right.
All right, now we turn it over to Vanessa. Try that one instead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here to talk about the Housing Division and what's happening now and what we're looking to accomplish in the future. And of course, we start out with what our housing needs are, and that's always to look at the quality and the variety of single and multifamily housing units, a variety of price points, rental rates for new construction and rehab of existing units, and through our government programs to aid those families who are low and moderate income who need housing services. Sorry about that. Thank you. So our first program is the citywide program, excuse me. It used to be countywide back in the day. This program covers the activities that cannot be occurred under our regular federal programs. And so it's there to take a percent of my salary and also for the salary that I have for temporary staff that are there to help cover the administration of all the programs that we do. So it's really just kind of the base that covers what the gaps of our federal programs cannot cover. Also, we start with our biggest federal program, which is our Community Development Block Grant Program starting on page 230. And believe it or not, we're been allocated our 21st allocation of Community Development Block Grant Funds. We became an entitlement community back in 2004. And so that's been a long time to get that kind of dollars in our community. And the funding has been, up and down over the years. And so we've tried to utilize those fundings to create a variety of projects for affordable housing. And so we're going to talk about some of the projects that we're currently doing for this year and what we anticipate doing for next year. And as you know, excuse me, the 26-27 allocation has not been announced. And so we will be working on reaching out to the community, getting their impact and feedback and getting that council feedback for our upcoming year. We got good news this year. The federal government got their budget extenuated to the end of September. So we're hoping that the funding that they set aside for HUD is going to be coming out sooner than later, that we'll know what our 26-27 allocation will be. Again, that fluctuates from year to year, but so far it's a possibility that we'll get funding again this year. And some of the things that we've accomplished this year is the completion of the neighborhood pocket park in the Baker subdivision. Exciting if you haven't been driven out there yet. The park is now complete with the shelter and the sidewalks and water fountains, and it's been used a lot this fall from all the neighbors in the neighborhood. So it's exciting that we were able to get that done. And also the completion of our water main improvement project along North Russell and Census Tract 10. that's a major project that we're doing for infrastructure in that low and moderate income census tract. And so those are two big activities that we were working on this past year. Also, we are working final two affordable housing houses with Habitat for Humanity. They're on the last two of 8 houses that will be built this year, and hopefully we'll be having ribbon cuttings for them later on this year. And then we're, of course, working on a marketing and a request for proposals to sell those lots out at the Baker subdivision. I know it's been a long time coming, but we are really close to just finishing the north side of that subdivision. And also, we've been busy trying to implement our renter affordability program, and we've served about 15 families so far. And I will really be talking about with that with our upcoming action plan. There's some things that I'd like to get your input on how we proceed with these types of programs. And we are now currently working again in our Census Tract 10 on doing water main improvements for South Russell and South Riverside. And one thing that's making that project go with this map on the end, we had to hire a phase 1 archaeological study, historical study, in order to get any of our projects approved through SHPO. And so we were able to get several streets in that census tract approved and submitted to SHPO. So now that we submit a project, they already know that it either does or does not have any historical impact on the projects that we're doing, which makes the process go a lot smoother. And so we're hoping also to finish extending that entire census tract through that study, so that that's one big approval level. We wouldn't have to slow down the project with SHPO. Also, we're looking again to talk about our 21st annual action plan coming up, and we'll be bringing some ideas and getting feedback from you that we normally do every year. And right now, we are still on target, hopefully, to submit our plan on or before May 17th if funding has been announced. That has been the backup the last couple of years, is that funding hasn't come until June or sometime July, and we have to have external applications until August, and then we don't know what our funding is until September, and before you know it, our program year is almost up. So we'll see what happens this year. Usually it's supposed to come out in February. Don't know if that's going to happen, but hopefully it'll happen where we can get our plan in a timely manner and be able to start our programming sooner than later. Also, our next biggest program is our Home Investment Partnership Program that starts on page 232. And that's also a federally funded program, and it's to help construct non-luxury affordable housing. And you can do a variety. You can do rehab and down payment, tenant-based rental assistance, and construction of affordable housing. And this is our 8th allocation of home funds. Our dollars amount has gone down significantly over the years that we've been an entitlement community, but they did bump up a little bit this past year. And we use that for administrative funds. 15% of that allocation has to go into a total allocation, and then the remaining 75% can be used for our programming. And so we have, as you know, that home program also requires a 25% match on every dollar that we spend for low-income housing. And we had allocated our general obligation bonds and some electric funds back when we were doing the infrastructure improvements at Baker. We did find out that that has a time limit on it and probably would not be able to use those funds as local match. But we have some good news that HUD publishes a reduction match report every year. And because we are our numbers are low in our poverty level areas, our 24 match requirement indicates 100% of the match has been waived. So we didn't have to come up with a 25% match for the projects that we've done today. Doesn't mean we still have to come up with the match, but it will be based on our future programs that we're doing. And so we're excited that that's good news, and we're waiting to find out for 2025 if that match is going to be waived again. If so, we could still build up a match for future things, but for right now, it's our understanding that all the match that we thought that we needed up until this day has been waived. And also, again, home requires that 50% of the money has to go set aside for a CHODO organization. We have not created a CHODO this current year. However, one of the benefits of having that money set aside is that we were able to withdraw $300,000 of those CHODO funds and put it into our actual home program that helped with our LIHTC project. So it was like kind of having money in the bank that we get, that allowed us to dip in to help fill the gap for that program. And so, as you know, that the activities this year was to partner with the builder. We're going to construct 2 new homes in the subdivision with the remaining affordable housing lots. We had 26 lots total. 8 of those lots went to Habitat for Humanity, and that leaves the remaining for us to utilize. And we're going to use our home funds to help build at least 2 of those homes in the Baker subdivision. And it will also working with HUD to create a tenant-based rental assistance program. And that's a program that's very similar to Section 8, where you work with families over a certain period of time, and they pay no more than 30% or 40% of their income towards the rent. So it's like having our Section 8 program here, but it's through the home investment program. So we're working with a person from Des Moines that's familiar with how the program works. And so that program will also require a match requirement, but it won't be an extensive match as what we did with the LIHTC project. Also, as you know, in partnership with Townhomes of Creekside, that we awarded the $2.1 million of home funds. As you know, that project has been completed, and of the 38 units, 8 units were from our home allocation, and we have done our ribbon cutting on that, and the units have been under lease. We're in the process right now of auditing the 8 units that we're responsible for. So we're going through all of those tenant applications to make sure they meet the requirements of our home dollars for those 8 units. But they are all under lease and do have some turnover. So they're on their way with having about all of their units completely leased up, which is exciting for us. So we do have more affordable housing units in our community. And so again, our allocation has not been announced yet, and we'll be working with council to talk about that as we work on our upcoming action plan. And our last program is our home art program, where we got American Rescue money back in 2021, and we are still working on the best way to utilize this money. We're hoping, I've been working with PA and coming up with ideas on working with nonprofits. We applied for money to do what we call non-congregate sheltering, which means that whatever we do to help homeless persons, they have to have their own facilities, their own bathrooms, their own bedroom, and that's the definition of non-congregate sheltering as identified by HUD. So we're in the process of finding the best way, and we're both excited about getting this project kicked off this year, so look forward to that coming up. And so again, that is what we're looking at doing for all of our CDBG home and home art programs for this coming year and finishing out this year. Is there any questions about these programs?
Thank you, Vanessa. Questions?
So Vanessa, now that we've got that, that survey, the Section 106 survey done, does that mean that we have access to more shovel-ready projects if we need to meet a timeliness test?
Yes, that's why we're doing the entire Census Tract 10. We've done maybe 4 streets in that area, so we're going to contract doing the rest, but we have enough where we can get projects done for this coming year that will help us meet our timeliness tests. So our timeliness test this year, again, is May 2nd. We have to spend just over $1 million. So we're hoping to be on track for that.
Could you, that was one of the questions I had, was what do we have to spend this year? What's the deadline and what's coming up in the future? I know there's some timeliness test, did you say it was over $1 million we have to spend this year?
Yes, as you recall, HUD's been going through a lot of changes with the shutdown, with loss of staff, and getting our documents to us. So we were 2 years behind getting all of our grant money in a timely manner. So we did not make the timeliness test last year. And so the dollar amount that we need to spend by May of this year is just over $1 million. And so that's why we're implementing the North Russell Water Main Project, the South Riverside and South Russell project that should help us meet that timeliness test for May 2nd. And then as we move forward, we're looking at continuing to do water main projects in that area since it's already gone under the survey and is shovel ready because SHPO can easily approve that because we have the documentation on historic impact. And we've been working with Public Works to identify projects for next year. So as we sell lots, at that program income and having an infrastructure project should hopefully keep us in terms with our timeliness test.
Any other questions?
Vanessa, I've been trying to follow stories on federal funding for housing, and from what I can see, it looks like things are stable. There was an initial question with DOGE whether there's going to be a major drawdown, but they've backed off of that. Am I reading that correctly? What are you saying?
Well, I'm seeing like they passed the budget, which is major, even after having a shutdown over this past weekend. They came back and extended it to the end of September, which should include our allocation for this year. And they did fund both CDBG and home and other programs. We don't know what that dollar amount looks like when it gets down to us, but we know that there was a budget set aside that was approved by the House and the Senate.
And I caught a piece on C-SPAN. It sounds like there's strong bipartisan support for this. So a lot of contentiousness, but it seems like housing has been an area where they've been able to reach some consensus, which hopefully means stability in the funding. Is that what you're saying too?
That's what I'm hoping to excel on later on this year when we find out exactly what we're going to get funded and all of those things, and that nothing else is going to trip up that process. HUD's still understaffed. We still don't have any resources as far as having any people that we can reach out to. We don't have any field reps anymore. A lot of my information that I have to stay in touch with all of my counterparts across Iowa and across the region, that we get bits and pieces of information because we do not have anyone we can talk to directly at HUD anymore.
Great, thanks.
All right.
And last, Mayor, we're just going to talk about our housing division staff. My assistant, Deb Emery, she is always getting the job done, and she has been responsible for administering all of our renter affordability programs. Right now, she's going through all the files to verify the audit for the townhome, the 8 units at the townhomes. She did all of the qualifications for our Habitat buyers. So she's getting the job done. And I'm happy that she's continuing to hopefully be with me this next year and not retire. So she's thinking about it. So I'm working on her. So anyway, so with that. We also want to thank the planning services staff. And of course, we have a theme that they do every year for you to see. So when the planning team hits the green, they're the fiercest foursome you've ever seen. Clubs in hand, they strike their stance, ready to show Ames who's the best at any chance. 2 celebrate, 1 panics, 1 nails to drive. Hey, that's teamwork, keeping the dream alive. So here's to the crew who plans the way, like champions turning big goals into wins every day. So we thank Benjamin Campbell, Parker Walsh, Amelia Schoeneman, and Justin Moore for all the planning work they do for planning services. Ain't that right, Kelly?
Just say yes. Just say yes, Kelly. Yes, ma'am.
Did Ray write that?
Good job. You wrote that? Oh, it wasn't a Ray Anderson.
All right.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right. We're here at the end.
Yep. Did you pass this out, Nancy?
I will.
Let's pass this out. I just want to remind
at the
you
end.
the decision-making you're going to have on February 10th to remind you who we're going to go through. It's going to be prior to the council meeting, right? Beginning part of the council meeting. You've seen this before. I want to remind you and the public how it's going to work though on Tuesday. First thing we're going to ask you to do is to vote on the proposed CIP, but prior to that, you have an opportunity if you'd like to inject any amendments to that. That would be a motion that would come first if you want to modify it or amend the CIP. And then after that, you'll vote on the CIP. After we get done with that, we're going to talk about the adjusted budget. That's the current budget, fiscal year 25, 26. Ultimately, we want to vote on approving that adjusted budget. But if there are any amendments you'd like to see in that, you'd first offer some amendments and we voted on the council, see if the council would like to change. And ultimately, we need approval or a motion to approve the proposed budget for 26, 27. Again, you can offer amendments to the budget as you see it in our program budget. We want to remind you, we're going to go through some of these special allocations. They're listed here. CODA, you'll see the budget amount, the recommended amount for CODA. Asset's a little bit different because there's a certain amount of allocation. Remember, directly out of the $2 million directly being recommended, the $1.7 million, and then reserving the remaining part. So they still want to keep it reserved. You understand? We're not saying put that back into the fund balance, but reserve that as we've done before. It's a little bit bigger, but that's how we would handle it. Public art, you can see what's being recommended compared to the budget amount. Outside funding requests, same thing. You can see those. The funding request for Alliance for the workforce housing supportive program, and then parking waivers. We want to, if you're going to waive for downtown events, we want to make sure at least the parking fund remains solvent. That's transferring monies from the hotel motel tax. At the end of that, then, if there's no amendments or changes, we'll vote on the proposed budget. And then finally, you'll be asked to set a date of hearing. It's required one of the two hearings we have to have. You'll set March 24th. It's the date for the final public hearing to adopt the property tax levy. That's a new one that we have to, for special hearing for. The public knows what the budget, how it affects property taxes. And then the certification date will be the last one. I forgot what that is. What date is that? April 14th. Later on, we'll set that. And that's the last day on certification. Now you need to know as regards to the 24th meeting and the April meeting, at that time, the council cannot add to or increase what you've already approved. You could decrease. So therefore, Tuesday is a very important date for you to establish what you want to take out to the public. Everybody understand that? Make sure that's clear.
Steve, I apologize. I don't understand the asset. So you have a budget amount and you have a recommended amount. Could you clarify again
Yeah.
what we're doing with this?
I will do. Oh, you,
So when we did budget issues, if you'll remember, you voted on a certain percentage increase. And so that's the amount that we put into the budget for asset, which is a little bit over $2 million. But Paul will explain what their recommendations from the asset group are. And they're recommending allocations to all of the different agencies at a little bit lower amount and then setting aside some funds to have in reserve, which is similar to what we've done the past several years. Yeah.
So that's really almost a parenthetical. For our purposes, what we're voting on is the 2 million and change, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is just, we're going to hold back some money. Right. Okay. That's helpful. Thanks.
But actually, you'll be seeing where those funds are going to be going to, right? She'll show you which each agency is going to get. So it's important that you understand where that's coming from when you vote for it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. I think that's what we all have. We appreciate your patience. I think you know that a budget is certainly a financial plan for the city, but it's also a service plan for the city. And I know our staff really appreciates the time they could come before you and highlight all the hard work they're doing, the projects they're engaged in, the services they're provided, and their continued dedication, I think, to hold both property taxes and user fees and also utility fees, mitigate the increase as much as possible. And they want to show you some of the innovative things they're doing, they're participating in, right? Innovation and continuous improvement, which is part of our ETP values. So I hope you enjoyed that. They like to tell the stories to you and the public. So we appreciate this time and we'll look forward for direction on the finalizing the budget on Tuesday, February 10th.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, council comments. Bronwyn, any comments tonight?
We lost her.
Okay. Emily?
Well, you're not going to like hearing this, but if the 24th of March wasn't already a super big date for the city council, that is also my last regular meeting.
What?
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. But so yeah, that will be my last regular meeting with the Ames City Council before the next person comes in.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know.
Bummer.
Yeah. Kind of a whoa. Dropped a heavy one on you today.
Well, we'll roast you at some point before you're done. Steve, you said it's a work plan. It's that, but it's also a statement of our values. And I feel like this is the most personal budget we've ever done. And so it's a statement of our community's values. And so we appreciate the work you've done.
Thank you.
Nita?
Just echoing, yeah, great to hear all the updates. Thank you.
Amber, anything?
Ditto. Thank you to all the departments. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Well, I might as well thank all the departments too, because I appreciate them. I also want to acknowledge that Mark is going to be leaving us later this year, and we will have to be searching for someone to continue his fine work with that office. And we also recently saw the retirement of Ray Anderson, who spent many years with the planning department. And so the changes that we've seen in this past year have been great, and there are a few more coming. So I hope that our next year is a good one.
All right, Bronwyn?
She's gone.
All right. Council, I just have a question, and that is, met with Travis Tolliver from Ames Main Street this afternoon. I think you've been aware that there's been an interest in potentially doing some a parklet program on Main Street. And we talked about $10,000 being dedicated from city funds for that. So the question we have is that, do you want to have a formal request, which I believe actually Travis believes he sent that in earlier.
I believe you did too.
Or is it acceptable just to ask staff to prepare a memo on how to fund that $10,000 from in the budget adjustment for this year, which would free up funds right away, for consideration at the meeting next Tuesday?
So moved.
Second.
All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. And I would just echo, it's always fascinating to hear all the things that departments are doing, and
Right.
under your leadership, Steve, and all the hard work. And
All the hard work of our budget staff and our departments and all their people, so they deserve a lot of credit. I want to make one other point, though. If you want to make, like you've just done here, if you want to make an amendment, it'd be helpful if you tell us up front, because we don't want to be surprised that night and have to scramble to recommend where we would fund it. So could you give us a call if you're thinking about making a change, and we can guide you how we can afford, or where we would place that. I don't think you need a memo for that, Mayor, if it's okay. We'll just place it on the agenda. I'm going to recommend it comes from the contingency fund from this year, not out of, I don't want to take away any money from the outside funding request.
Yeah.
So it'll be very easy to do if that's okay with you. The point is, make sure it's on the agenda to vote for.
Yep.
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, with regard to what Steve was just saying about those surprise requests or amendments, I don't know whether anybody has any of those, but I, for one, would appreciate seeing them before the
Right.
last minute. So.
Right.
Yeah, also the council, right? Yeah, you don't want to be surprised.
Yeah, and actually, I think that everyone is trying pretty hard to try and get those in well in advance, so it's not a surprise to anybody.
Are you okay with that? Are you okay with that one, Gloria? The
10,000?
Yeah, the parklets, that's okay.
And that's,
Because I think we heard about that
yeah, we
previously.
discussed it before. It's just more or less trying to get it all into the mix. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just know in past years, we've had some somewhat major CIP adjustments that kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't want to be caught by surprise.
Yep. Point being is that if there are some that council wants to consider, communicate with Steve as well as just send an email to council, not to respond to it, but just let people know you're going to be asking it to be discussed.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Very good. All right. Mark, do we have does council have justification to go into closed session tonight?
Yes, Mayor, the council has justification under Iowa Code Section 21.51C that allows the council to go into closed session to discuss matters in litigation or where litigation is imminent.
Okay. Is there a motion going in closed session?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Let's just take a really short break and then we'll reconvene in a few minutes. All right. Is there a motion regarding what was discussed in closed session?
So moved. Second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All right. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank